So now that it's been some time from yesterday's game, I wanted to go into a few pointers that have really frustrated me over the last few hours. I've slept on it. The emotion's been taken out of the game, the raw emotion after the game. The replays have been watched and watched and watched. The analysis has been taken in, match of the day, highlights, extended highlights, everything. I want to know where people's heads are at right now because I saw a lot of excuses yesterday. I saw a lot of people pointing fingers and blaming the officiating. And I saw a lot of people talking about why that might have been the excuse as to why we dropped points. I want to make it clear that I categorically disagree with every single person who believes the reason we dropped points yesterday was because of the referee. Did the referee have a good game? Absolutely not. Was the referee shambolic at times? Damn right. Was the referee inconsistent most of the game? Absolutely. But it wasn't him that missed our chances. It wasn't him that put a pathetic shot in from Erdegaard. It wasn't him that allowed Saka to miss both of his chances, and it wasn't the referee's fault that Havertz, after taking one of the best first touches you'll see, outmuscle your defender, use your pace and power, fluff your lines. That wasn't the referee's fault. So I kind of want to stop this excuse FC that Arsenal fans seem to believe. I'd love to know if there's any belief that they believe the officiating is actually against Arsenal as much as they say. Do they believe that referees actually meet in car parks and talk about how we're going to mess up Arsenal's title race? Do we actually believe that's the case? Because for the last couple of games, I've seen Bournemouth have some horrendous decisions made against them. Do they meet in the car parks and talk about how they're going to mess up Bournemouth's season as well? Let's just have it right. The officiating is poor in this country. When you're relying on them to get you through a game and pick up 3 points for you, you need to look at yourself because you ain't played well enough. I'm sick and tired of hearing excuses about how Arsenal, when this incident happened, that was the reason it threw the game. Let's talk about the incident in question. There's a huge elephant in the room about what we're talking about here. We all know it's the Declan Rice decision, right? I watched it live. It was right in front of me. I sit at that corner flag. I saw him give away a foul, which I'm not sure was actually a foul, but we'll go with it. Apparently the referee's seen it's a foul, right? Then what happens? I'll tell you what happens next. Madness happens next. Okay? What I see happen live, without watching it back, without watching it on replay, without it being played on the screens and I'm in the stadium, the reason I'm livid is because I see Declan Rice get kicked and then given a second yellow and then a red. What I don't see until the replay is Declan Rice kicking the ball away. Now, whether you believe that is a yellow card or not, I happen to think it's not a yellow card, but the law says it is a yellow card. So there's nothing anyone can do or say about it. He has just broken the rule. Pathetic one, but he's broken the law. The rules of the game say yellow card. Unfortunately, because Declan Rice, who I must say in the first 3 games has been one of our worst players, because he's not ready and fit yet, he's gone in with a rash tackle, got himself a yellow card because he was late to it, normally which he would have won if he was fully fit. He's now on a yellow card. The law says, I've got to book you, mate, and you're already on a yellow, so you've got to go. Declan Rice comes out after the game and says, I gave the referee a decision to make. I shouldn't have kicked the ball away. It is a yellow card, and I have to hold that. So that's it. No more excuses. Fans, move on. Declan Rice deserved to get sent off yesterday by the footballing rules. Whether you think they're crazy or not, that's a huge debate to have. I'll be with you if you think they are crazy, because trust me, I think some of them are. But that's not what we're debating here. We're not debating the law book. We're debating whether a referee, who I thought had a poor game, that didn't show any consistency, has made a decision which is right or wrong. And unfortunately, the 2 yellow cards Declan Rice got actually were yellow cards. End of. Now we can go on to the consistency. There is a huge lack of consistency of officiating across the Premier League. But even in this game alone, there was inconsistency with yellow cards. I saw João Pedro kick a ball away. He didn't tap it. He didn't brush it. He didn't flick it. He smashed it. He booted it. Nothing happens. He let it go. I see Thomas Partey give a foul. Probably should have got a yellow card and sent off. He didn't. He decided against it. I see other fouls hacking our players. Play goes on. I see us flicking players. Free kick given. Poorly officiated. Terrible, terrible day for the referee. Agreed. He's not the reason we didn't win the game. He's not the reason we dropped points. I'm going to come into that now. The reason we dropped points is because yet again, we fluffed our chances. Yet again, we couldn't finish our dinner in front of goal. Take away that isolated incident, Arsenal should have scored 3 goals in this game at the bare minimum. We got the one with Havertz, which, by the way, was a delightful finish. Very lucky the way that it actually fell into the path of Bukayo Saka off the back of the defender's head, but you'll take it. He flicks it through to Kai Havertz. The keeper comes out, so it's perfect, and he lobs him. This sums up Kai Havertz. You look at that goal and you think, he's on form. He's having a good day. He's working tirelessly. He's out muscling people. He's got a good first touch on him. Then we go down to 10 men. And I will say this. For the first 10 minutes, I thought it was shambolic from manager and players. They had no idea where they were going. There was no understanding of positioning. There was no tactics that they were aware of. And it was as if they had absolutely no idea what happens when you go down to 10 men. This should be decided in training. And I'm sure that it is, by the way. But they didn't act like it. They were headless chickens. And Brighton were absolutely peppering us going forward. And I thought to myself, take a draw here at this rate. Don't lose this game. They equalise. They score. And then what happens? I go back to it. Before I mentioned this, Kai Havertz. Typical performance yesterday for me. Played well in parts. Did poor in parts. He has an unbelievable chance. His first touch is exquisite. The pace, the power, the out-muscling that he showed was phenomenal. And then all he's got to do is exactly what he did in this fixture last year. Slot it home. And he puts in a pathetic effort. Then he goes down the right flank. Superb pace, great power, great out-muscling. He's on the attack. It is one of the best crosses he's ever put in with his weaker foot at Arsenal. But we miss it. Saka overstretches, can't get enough on it. We fluff our chances. Adding to the first one he missed in the first half, by the way, which is a ball flicked over from Ødegaard that he just pats and it goes into the goalkeeper's arms. Talking of that person who made that potential assist, Martin Ødegaard, who I thought was poor yesterday, got kicked in the first 10-15 minutes, never recovered that to come off. Nobody to replace him on the bench other than Ethan Nwaneri, who clearly Mikel Arteta didn't fancy yesterday. Where have we heard this before? Subs that he doesn't fancy. He gets put on by an unbelievable cross by Leandro Trossard in the first half, and Martin Ødegaard scuffs it. He pats it into the path for the goalkeeper to collect. So, I'm telling you why we didn't pick up 3 points yesterday, and people don't want to hear it. They want to point at the referee. They want to suggest that it's the referee that has caused the decision for us to drop points. It is nothing to do with the referee. The referee made it harder for us to cling on at the end, but we should have already been at least 2 goals up. And that is my biggest frustration. Yesterday, there was massive issues. Big issues in front of goal. Big issues in the midfield, which we didn't control for the whole game, which we should have when they had Milner and then the sub come on for him that I'd never heard of. We should have dominated that midfield. We never did. We never looked like dominating that midfield. Our front three were not good enough yesterday. And our only sub was Martinelli. What is going on with this squad? We are in game week 3 and we are saying that the bench looks strong when the injured players come back. Those injured players are the same players that have been injured for many a time. Jesus and Tomiyasu. We've got Zinchenko on the bench, but he's injury prone. We've still got Raheem Sterling, who's in the signing that can come in. And after that, the only predictable sub that comes on is either Martinelli or Trossard. I had a chat with somebody on the concourse before the game had even kicked off. He said to me, do you think we're light in midfield, Dan? I said, yeah, I think we are, man, particularly with the injury to Marino. He said, what happens now if Ødegaard gets a knock and has to come off injured and Declan Rice was to get a red card? Whoa, scary, freaky. 45 minutes later, Ødegaard's coming off with a knock and Declan Rice has been sent off. And my God, it looked poor. It looked poor. We have an international break now, and we go into the games against Spurs and Manchester City away with Jorginho and Partey. Heaven helps that Thomas Partey doesn't get a knock between now and then, because we have got nobody. We have got nobody. It is going to be poor. It's going to be tough. Partey gets a knock. We have to play Jorginho at the base and have Wanyeri and Erdegaard in there. That's the only option we've got. I believe, although some have said that he might go for something similar to that, I believe it will be Jorginho and Partey in a double pivot and Erdegaard in the 10, and we'll have to go 4-2-3-1. We've got nothing, guys. We'll have Sterling and potentially Trossard or Martinelli on the bench, and that is all we've got. So it is such a hardship to get through these two games with a weakened side, with a weakened bench. We need these players back ASAP, yes, but why are we relying on the same players that got injured last season? This window, we have not done enough. And some people disagree. Some people think that we're stacked in midfield, we're stacked in defence, and we're stacked up top with players who can score goals because they scored 91 together last year. I will agree that we definitely can score goals in this team, but can we get across the line when needed? Can we get that finisher in at Arsenal? The answer now is, of course, no, because the window is shut. Ivan Toney, Osimhen, Gyökeres, I'm sick of talking about it now. Do you know what? We don't have to anymore. The window's shut. I'm sick and tired of everybody looking at the excuses FC. It wasn't Arsenal's fault. It wasn't Arteta's fault. It was nothing to do with the players. Yeah, that bloke there in the middle. That bloke in the middle there, he dropped us points. No, he didn't, people. Grow up. Wake up. Open your eyes. It is Arsenal in front of goal yesterday yet again. I've seen this before. I've seen this story many times. Last season at West Ham, last season at Fulham, last season against Liverpool in the FA Cup. I saw it last season when we lost to Aston Villa at home. And everybody said to me, well, it's a striker that we get. And once we get him, over the line we go. Where is he? Where is he? Where's the striker? I don't see one. I see Kai Havertz as the 9, but this is the guy that's been missing chances for us. So I was supposed to be getting somebody to upgrade him so that he can become a great squad player, so that he can start certain games against oppositions that are needed in terms of a different dimension, and that we could get our main number 9 in. That didn't happen. Who are we now relying on? Raheem the Dream. Now, look, he could be a phenomenal signing for all I know. I'm going to judge him when I see him in the shirt. He's got a point to prove. He knows Mikel Arteta well. He's in prime at 28, 29 years old. But he's played a lot of football since the age of 17. He's inconsistent. He's a player in front of goal that I don't put my house on scoring. And everybody that I've spoken to, whether it be Chelsea, Liverpool or Man City fans, have watched him week in and go, yeah, you've got a good player there. He's inconsistent and you will pull your hair out because he's the most frustrating player in the whole of the Premier League. Wow. I don't see this as a fantastic window. I think we've improved in certain areas of the team. I think Calafiori's a clear update on Zinchenko. Timber coming back into the mix is great to add on top of that. Defensively, we are stacked. In midfield, I think Marino's a good signing, but he's now out for a few months. And I definitely know for a fact that a fractured shoulder does not keep you out for 6 weeks. You're looking at 3 to 4 months. He's done till Christmas, January now, surely, if he's broken that. Depends how bad the fracture is. But if it's a fracture, he ain't coming back for 6 weeks. He's going to be nearer 3 months at the bare minimum. So we're short now in midfield because we needed Marino on top of somebody. We needed a 6 and an 8 in this window. We all said it. We didn't get that. We just got the 8. And now we've got the same damn midfield that we had last season, bar Fabio Vieira and Smith Rowe. We've got Ethan promoted. I like that. Is he ready? I don't know. Personally, for me, I'd rather have him coming on than Fabio Vieira. But who's Smith Rowe's replacement? We didn't bother getting one. Then we look at the wide areas and up top. And I think finally we can say that we've got an upgrade on Reece Nelson in Raheem Sterling. But up top, we've got nothing. So guess what we're doing, people? Relying on an injury-prone player again in Jesus. If Havertz doesn't cut the mustard, there's nobody else. The only option we have is to look at our left-hand side and go, right, which one of you boys out of Trossard and Martinelli wants to play up front? Maybe it's Martinelli that's needed because he's definitely not playing well enough on the left. Trossard, when he starts, doesn't play as well as when he comes on, but he deserves to be starting because his performances prove it. We've got problems already, guys, in game week 3. And I will go on a whim and say this. If we didn't have the problems we had yesterday in front of goal and we had 11 men, maybe we go on to win that game. Maybe. It's hindsight now. Because we've dropped points, we have to beat Spurs and Man City now. We definitely have to take a bare minimum of 4 points, because otherwise Manchester United go 5 points clear of us. Manchester City, go 5 points clear of us in game week 5. That's not good. So Arsenal need to shape up. Arsenal need a reaction. And at the moment, I think our squad is probably thinner than it was last year. In fact, we know it is. It's definitely thinner. Everybody said around January time last year, before we went to Dubai and we come back absolutely immense, we need to go and get Ivan Toney. I know for a fact we offered him a contract, personal terms. We never went for him in the summer. Perhaps they've decided against it. But I know for a fact we were looking at him. Now, we can't sit there now and say what we should have, what we could have, what we do need. The window's shut. There's no getting more players now until, of course, January. But in the last 4 January transfer windows, we bought 3 players. Trossard, Kivior and Jorginho. And that was in one window. The other one, we did nothing. The one before that, we did nothing. And the one before that, we let Aubameyang go for free and bought nobody in. So when I look at it, this transfer window, we've brought in a left-back who definitely brings us strength in depth, and the 8 that gives us strength in depth. We've brought in the goalkeeper to replace Darren Ramsdale, who's a downgrade, but I expected it, but at least it's his experienced head. We brought in the upgrade to Reece Nelson, but we haven't upgraded on Vieira, Smith Rowe, or Eddie Nketiah. So 3 of those players, 2 of which have got nobody in for, and 1 of which we promoted from youth. People think that's enough to go for a title. Wow. I'm sorry, that is just not the case. I would say that the ownership and the board have completely let Mikel Arteta down this summer. On previous occasions, we've spent a hell of a lot of money. You can't say Mikel Arteta hasn't been back. £700 million spent. Unfortunately, this window, he's not been backed enough. Tell me another ownership that goes into the season after finishing 2 points off of Manchester City and makes a profit and spends no more than £20 million net, if at all we have. I would argue to say that we're in a position where we've actually been let down massively by owners who have neglected us going for a Premier League title. Manchester City, let's end on them. Not only do they look stronger, they look lethal. Their 3 games people think have been easy. Stamford Bridge, Ipswich Town at home, I can go with that one, and West Ham away. You think those 3 are any harder than the ones we've had? Villa's very difficult to go, but so's Chelsea at times. Didn't win there last year. Didn't win at Villa last year. Manchester City didn't win there last year, but they won there this year. Arsenal won there this year. So now you look at our home games and you think they've had 1 at home, 2 away. We've at 1 away, 2 at home. We've come out of it with 4 points. 7 points, and they've come out of it with 9. So unfortunately, we're already 2 behind them. We've got Spurs and Manchester City next. Lose those 2 games, and by the first month of this window, of this season, talked about windows too much, the title's over. You can't go 8 points behind Manchester City at all, whether you're in game week 2 or game week 5 or game week 50. You can't. Yeah? For me, you absolutely have to be in touching distance with them or ahead of them all of the way. We know what this side are about, but they've strengthened. Gundogan's come in. Savio's come in. Haaland is the only position now they can't replace. And they'll replace it because they'll put someone false 9. Foden, Doku, Savio. They'll probably even put Bernardo up there, or hell, they might even put KDB. Who knows? Pep's the master, right? But Arsenal, we haven't done enough. We needed to sell Eddie and upgrade on him. Tony, Gyökeres. We needed to sell Smith Rowe and Vieira and get in a 6 and an 8. We haven't done that. We've brought in an 8. We needed to get another attacking midfielder in, at least after Erdegaard, so that Nwaneri's coming in for the cup games and it gets introduced properly, not thrown into the deep end. Now, I think he's a baller and he can handle it, right? But he's going to have to now. Huge pressure on him. Unfair, in fact, to him to be having to potentially come in a North London derby and Etihad to go, I've got to go win you the game here, apparently, in my first few games as a 17-year-old. That's not fair. It's not how you should be doing business at Arsenal. Fabregas, people here, he was 17. Who was alongside him? Patrick Vieira, Gilberto Silva, Mathieu Flamini, Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Robert Pires, and Freddie Ljungberg. We are surrounded, Ethan Nwaneri, with Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli, who are 22 years old. Thomas Partey and Jorginho, who, let's be real, are coming to the end of their career in decline, not the prime of their career like Vieira and Gilberto were when Fabregas was there. And in front, Kai Havertz, not Dennis Bergkamp or Thierry Henry. Completely different scenario for when Fabregas come in at 17. So I'm asking the Arsenal fans to wake up, stop it with the excuses, stop blaming everybody but the club or the players or the manager or ourselves, and finish your chances. If you liked this video, please do me a favor. Put me in a bit of a better mood because I'm deflated. Please make sure you like this video. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 30k. Please make sure that the like and subscribe buttons are hit. They're absolutely free. And we'll see you on the next one. Take care, people.